joining us today. I am Zoe Frost with Celebration Magazine Live, and we are here for a Zoom and Learn with someone new to Celebration, and that would be Valora Medical Group. They have a really neat and unique approach to healthcare for seniors. And I also want to make mention that they've got a really fun grand opening celebration ribbon cutting happening at their Grand Prairie location on Monday. If you didn't see the information in the email last Friday, it will also be included in our newsletter on Sunday for any of you that would like to head out for that. Now, without further ado, we have with us today Dr. Stafford, and she is going to be talking about health prevention, fall prevention, and also telling you a little bit about Vlora and how what they do is so unique. Don't forget, put those questions into chat. We will get to those at the end. And I am now turning the floor over to Dr. Stafford. Take it away. You're still muted, Dr. Stafford.
There you go. It says unmuted. Self-set. Okay. So I'm Dr. Stafford. I work for Valora Medical. We're here in Grand Prairie, and I have a special love for prevention. I started out as a trauma surgery resident and did that for about 2 years. But I had an experience many years before that. I was a medical assistant for 10 years before I went to med school. And I lived in Johannesburg, South Africa in 1986 to 1988 and spent a month in a neurologic hospital with African sleeping sickness. And one of my roommates in the hospital was a native African who had polio. And she had polio simply because she never got an immunization. And it just kind of impressed upon me prevention and kind of heading off problems before they get started. And as a provider who's been practicing since 1998, I am interested in fall prevention and do a lot of evaluation in the clinic for that. And so I have some slides I'd like to share, the obligatory slide show, and we'll talk about falls. Please ask any questions that you have in the moment. It is not a formal presentation. Okay, let me get this situated. Let's see. And then we'll go here. Bear with me. There you go. So living a balanced life, or why fall when you can stay upright. And notice that there aren't any elders who are falling. These are all young people, because at 59 myself, I don't plan on breaking anything if I can avoid it. And so I think we just like to talk about how to avoid that. And yeah, fall prevention. So for me, I think my opinion is knowledge is power. And that as long as I can make decisions about my own health, and as long as my goal is to help my patients make good decisions about their health based on the information that's out there. And sometimes there isn't information. Sometimes we just have to do the best we can, but it'd be great to be able to make decisions about your health before you're forced to make them. If someone comes into the clinic and they have a balance issue, oftentimes we can retrain balance, and I send them to physical therapy, and Medicare will pay for twice a week for 6 weeks. And that oftentimes really manages the balance. You have receptors in your joints that tell your brain where you are in space, and we can retrain those. So I'd rather send you to physical therapy. I have to say, there have been a couple of times that I've diagnosed kind of silent, sneaky strokes with a very simple balance test. And so it's just a simple, really helpful thing to do. And I'd much rather y'all have physical therapy than hip surgery. I have worked as a hospitalist and in the emergency department, and after hip surgery, it's life-saving and it's helpful. But when you have a simple fall and those fractures, whether it's in the arms or the legs or the hip, you can lead to really complex issues. The surgery itself, anesthesia is really tough on the patient, having to go into surgery. Sometimes people will have cardiac arrhythmias, and it would be great that they got pre-medicated, but you don't get a chance to do that. The hospitalization, treating the pain, which we're not so great at, honestly. You know, we can overdo it and underdo it. And then the decreased mobility while you rehab, and then the issue of mental health during and afterwards. Anesthesia can give you delirium, that can pull out maybe some dementia that was there, but was controlled. And it'd be great to avoid all of that. I just would be really happy if we could avoid all of that. So that's the last sad slide I'll have. To mitigate falls, you'll have exam for a fall risk. Your physician can do that, your PA, the nurse practitioner. Exercising and staying limber. Two of the best exercises are probably yoga and Tai Chi, because they're very controlled. They use big muscle groups. They keep you strong, but they also keep the shoulder and hip girdle, those muscles, strong and flexible, so that if you fall, you can get back up. And that's another goal I have for patients, is if you have to fall, it'd be great if you get back up. Medication, changing medications, decreasing medications. Most patients that are, you know, over 60 are on too many medications. And so if we can look at your medication list and pare it down, if at all possible, or even find better choices for you, because even though we kind of treat people on a continuum, everybody is an individual. And so they need to be looked at as an individual with respect to their medications. Getting your vision checked, knowing where you're putting your feet, knowing how to read signs, especially when you're driving, want to keep you driving, keep you in your home. And then footwear. Women are probably the worst about footwear. My sister is 55 and she still wears those 3-inch heels. I never got into those, and they look lovely, but they are kind of a problem waiting to happen. And so having good footwear, it doesn't have to look dowdy or old or ugly, but it should fit properly and not be too tight. Women typically have shoes that are too tight, which then later they need surgery because they get corns and bunions. And then your home, you know, having those grab bars, having a bath chair, having a bedside commode, if that's helpful for you. You know, these are all things that you can think about. And if you think of something I've forgotten, please chime in. You know, if you have an experience that you think that would be helpful to the others listening, don't hesitate to chime in. So getting a fall risk assessment, please don't hesitate to discuss falls or risk of falls, because it's better to avoid it. Get what you need because you deserve it. The seniors, and I'm a senior, I get stuff from the AARP since I was 50, and I'm 59, and doggone it, I'm worth it. And if there's anything that I can get that will help me stay stable, I want to get it, but I want my patients to have it too. And I just wanted to point out the blinged out walker. You know, there is a stigma with walkers and canes, but man, they're helpful, and they can be so great to have. You know, just talk to, I don't care who you see. It doesn't have to be me. If you like your primary care doctor, that's awesome. Just talk to them about how to really evaluate you and find what you need to make your home safe, so that you can be there for the rest of your life and you don't have to worry about having to go anywhere else or being in a hospital bed. You are valued. I think it's really important that you realize that. And it sounds like from everyone who's been on the screen today that they have their opinions, they are individuals, and you understand you are valued. The Department of Aging and Disability Services is a great place to start. Your primary care physician is a good resource, mainly because what we can order is a home health evaluation. And what they'll do is they'll come into your home, evaluate you and your home, making sure, is your blood pressure under control while you're at home? How, are you, the activities of daily living, are you able to cook for yourself such that you can keep your nutrition up? And if not, how to augment that? And I know patients don't always want home health in their home, but it's definitely a great option. And if you have the backing of your physician and home health, then most people can't say no to you getting what you need, because we know the codes to code and the lingo to use. And then I got on the City of Grand Prairie's website. Oh my goodness, it's really great with respect to people who are over 60, over 65, in helping them find resources. I thought it was a great website, so I wanted to mention that. I live in Dallas, in downtown Dallas, in a condo, so I'm getting to know Grand Prairie, but I really feel like there are some resources here for prevention, and that was encouraging to me. So some fun activities for balance and strength. I like to dance, which is why I have the hula dancers and the women doing Bollywood, the belly dancing, line dancing, but really water aerobics, swimming, tennis. Now golf, it really isn't fair if you use the cart, but that means it can't be too hot in the summer, because you don't want to expire, you don't want to pass out on the golf course. But it's a great walking. And if there are anything you like to do, please let me know and chime in. But especially Tai Chi and yoga, because they're very controlled and you're not going to be twisting and turning and pivoting such that you stumble or fall while you're doing that exercise. And our goal is independence. I'm very independent myself, have always been that way. I value it very much, so I value it very much for my patients. Now, I definitely apply my opinions to my practice of medicine, but I'm open to other interpretations. But I think that the goal for me with my patients is independence, being able to do what you've been doing all your life, maybe not as fast, but certainly for yourself. And then I think it's good to remember that the only fall to experience is the season. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to get off of here.
I got it for you,
Okay,
Dr.
great.
Stafford.
Thank you so much. So I appreciate it.
Of course. Okay. So I love the last statement. The only fall to experience is autumn. That's great. All right. So ironically, so you addressed this, but Barbara Rusk said, what about water aerobics for balance and flexibility? But you did recommend that as one of the activities. Well, and it's so good for your joints too, right? Water aerobics.
It is, and it keeps, because that resistance is controlled, it keeps that muscle mass up, especially around the hips and the thighs where you want. And then if you actually swim, you will keep some flexibility, especially in the shoulders. And depending on if you do the breaststroke, which I'm not the greatest at, but you keep a little flexibility in the legs.
Nice. Awesome. And then, so this is a great question from Yvette. She said, if you're about to fall, should you try to safely fall into it, or should you try to grab onto something to stop yourself from falling?
Oftentimes you don't get that choice. And the only people that really know how to fall well are people who do it professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's the theory behind the grab bars, is that if you feel unbalanced or if you're going to slip, you're going to grab onto something. So yeah, it's just, the problem is in the moment you may grab onto the lamp, which you take to the floor with you. And so
Right.
It's a tough question to ask, because it'd be great if there was something stable that you could grab onto. That would be very helpful, as long as it doesn't swing you around and snap your tibia.
Right. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be
It's
so
just
bad.
hard in the moment for your body is going to react, and it's hard in the moment to be able to, unless you've been trained to fall well. So catching yourself is probably the best idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I'm just saying, if anybody's got a cane or a walker that they want to bedazzle, I will be glad to help them to make that thing look amazing. Okay. Because I can't wait to do it to my own someday. There is, and I bring this up because, you know, there is often, and I know you see it too, Dr. Stafford, such a stigma around using a cane, around using a walker, or even around using a shower chair. The shower chair, I don't quite understand because nobody really sees you use it. It's not like, you know, you got strangers coming over watching you to take a shower with your shower chair, right? There's no judgment there. But there is, I ran across a woman, she's in her 60s, her 70s, and she makes videos on TikTok to help with the stigma surrounding different things. And there was actually a shower chair company that paid her, and she's in good physical shape. I mean, to do a flash dance routine on a shower chair in a like in one of those like park fountains, right? So she's got her leotard on, but she did it and she took on the project because she wanted to show people, look, I'm old too, and this can be helpful and useful. And it brings a little humor to it. But I just thought that was great. And if I can find it and I can share it with you, Dr. Stafford, I totally will. If I can find it for you guys, I'll have Dan put it in one of our emails so you can see it because it's great. And it would be great to add to your presentation. But yeah, falling is hard. You don't want to fall. I've seen plenty of people that have fallen and they're never the same after that. So you really got to be mindful and you got to be careful. And, you know, and we're all the perfect example. I'm a perfect example of that, even though, you know, I'm only 41. I haven't worked out or done anything for my health or my physicality for ages, right? So I finally went, okay, I'm going to get on this health kick. My balance is so bad even now at my age. So anything that anybody can do is wonderful and helpful.
So there is a thing called, what I do in the clinic is called a standing balance test, and it was developed for kids who got clocked in football, who got a concussion, and it diagnoses concussion right away.
Yeah.
So if you can balance on one foot without having to grab onto something. Now, if you check this at home, you want to be around something you can grab, but if you can balance for 30 seconds on each foot, then your standing balance test is very good. It's when people have to then put their foot down because they get off balance, then that is the first thing I use, and it's the most accurate in the moment test.
Yeah.
It's just a standing balance test.
That's awesome. Okay, so now what I want you to do, so Dr. Stafford, tell me more about Valora Medical Group, if you can, for the group, and
okay,
what you guys do and how it's different, because you also, if you don't already, will be offering exercise programming at your facility too. So tell me about, it's so cool. Tell me about everything going on.
So Vlora is the Texas arm of a group, a medical group that was started in Florida that was very successful treating senior and Medicare patients. And what they incorporated was having transport to the appointment. And even that's part of our scheduling. And then they always want to have an activity center. The clinic that we're in right now is our temporary clinic, although it's beautiful. But right across the parking lot it's 3 times bigger, and 1/3 of it will be the activity center, where there will be therapy and exercise and just kind of a neighborhood, a group of people can get together and do things together for health and wellness. And then the other rest of it is medical care, bone density scanning, x-rays if we need it. We can do draw blood, do simple tests and all that. But Vlora became very interested in Medicare Advantage
Mhm.
and the HMOs, and really learning how to communicate to the insurance companies what patients needed, so that we get audited a lot by people who don't necessarily practice medicine, but they do have some understanding of what needs to be documented. So Vlora really tries to learn that especially well, so we can communicate to insurance, to providers, to medical supply companies, what you need and why, so that we kind of pave the road for you. And then that also allows us to help them understand why you need medications or not need medications. And so really it's a focus on the senior patient. And
Right.
yeah, and I just kind of fell into Valora's lap, and I feel very fortunate because I feel like they're just very dedicated, and had a lot of really good training. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to having this clinic get up and get going.
Right. Yeah, I am too. I mean, when I first learned about it and Barbara told me everything, the transportation, the community center that's on site, it was pretty amazing. And I really like, you have a wellness approach as opposed to um, as opposed to let's treat the problem when the problem comes up. It's very much a let's keep you healthy
Yes.
and go from there. And if a problem comes, we'll treat that too, but let's try and do the proper steps to make sure we don't have that bigger
Right.
problem.
And
So
I am an osteopathic physician. I'm a West Texas girl. I went to high school in Hamlin, Texas, and college at ACU and med school in Fort Worth. And so osteopathic medicine was started in the 1850s by an MD who said, we really wait until people get sick. We really should keep them well. And so the tradition of wellness was incorporated then. And so yeah, just making sure. That's kind of my goal.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so why then asked, do you have to be a resident of Grand Prairie? And the answer is no, of course, right?
No.
Anyone can come, right? But
Although it's a great place. I love it. I love the little neighborhoods out here.
But I did want to let everyone know. So there is a Garland Valora location open. Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have the community center, I believe.
It does not.
Right.
They took an huge existing practice, and are incorporating the well care and and he takes Medicare anyway. It's Dr. Garcia.
Right.
And then they are working on building and designing a Valora Medical Center in Arlington and in Irving.
Yep. Yeah, I've got, so my list that I have is there's going to be a Mesquite, we've got Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Garland. And they are expanding and adding more offices, like the Irving location that Dr. Stafford suggested. Now, to let everyone know though, just because the Garland location does not have the community center per se, they still do the transportation and all the other things that they're able to offer with that. So most definitely, yeah.
And Dr. Garcia is well respected in that community. He has a humongous practice, and 4 or 5 physician's assistants. There are probably 60 people that work in that office.
Wow,
so they he just wanted to be able to do the Medicare in a more efficient and helpful way, and take his expertise with that. So
yeah. Well, and another big piece of it too is I know the goal of all of your offices and all of your locations that Barbara was really what's the word that I'm looking for? Adamant would be the best word about is how she doesn't want people to feel like patients. She wants them to
Right.
feel like the goal is for people to feel like people when they come and be greeted by their name and, not be patient 2, 3, 5, 6, and actually, have a face and have a name and have people know you, and create, that old fashioned what doctors used to be feel. So, right.
Yeah, the medical, so the business plan and the medical plan are put together so that, new patients can take 30 minutes. You
Mhm.
can sit down and have a nurse's visit if you need your earwax washed out, or if you need to check your INR because you're on Coumadin, you can come in and the goal is not to see as many patients in a day. It's quality. So they do,
Right.
their scheduling allows a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it. Okay. Judy Kidd was asking, do you transport any patient from home to office, even if they aren't Medicare Advantage?
I think the answer to that is yes, but we'd have to ask Barbara.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Barbara.
I think it is contingent on the type of Medicare insurance you have, if I remember correctly. But what I would recommend doing, Judy, is give them a call. Their information is in our magazine, or let me do this too. Their phone number is actually really easy to remember. It's actually 844 Valora for you, but I'll put the actual numbers in there too. But if you call them, they'll let you know that information.
That's
And
a good question. Thank
Yeah.
you for asking that, because as the medical person, I don't know the answer to that. I need to get that information.
Well, and don't forget too, guys, we're coming up on open enrollment soon. So you're going to be getting hit with a ton of information for your Medicare. So if it's something that you were hoping to take advantage of in the future off of your Medicare plan, if you do need to have an Advantage plan for that, is take a look at it, talk to our friends at AmeriLife or at Blue Cross Blue Shield, because they can help you find something that's going to be affordable within budget, and still provide the services you need. So, I mean, since it came up, give that plug, because you have the ability to change that soon if that's the case. So, all right. Well, wonderful. I don't see any other questions. Make sure, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. Like I said, their information is in the magazine, and you're going to be seeing a lot of our Valora friends hanging around at events and doing stuff with us very soon. Dr. Stafford, thank you so much for today. That was a great presentation. Guys, if you want to take yourselves off mute, let's make some noise for